Awesome. We are now live. All right. Welcome everyone. Settle on in. Oh, here we go. Now they're coming on in. Welcome everyone. Hope everyone's doing great today. Just getting everything set up here for you folks. Getting my chat open. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy Thursday. Here we are, 8th of April already. I can't believe it. Let us know where you're coming from in the chat, folks. Make sure as well to turn a couple, Terry, you've already got it. Turn your chat suggestions to all panelists, all attendees. This way everyone gets to see where everybody's coming from, gets to see everybody's great questions. Hello, folks. Oh, I'm hearing that it's quite loud. I'm so sorry. There we go. Welcome, everyone. I'm playing around, trying something new. We're trying a couple of new things here, folks. Here we go. Turn this way. Really loud when you were coming in. What is going on here? Just some wild times on my side. My goodness gracious. Here we go. All right, let me know. Please let me know if it's too loud. Hopefully, just trying up some new things. See if we can get, oh, there we go. Let me know, folks. See if it's a little too loud. I hope it's not. Ah, thank you. Thank you. Sorry if it was too loud. I do apologize. This is a combination of great things I've never done before. So, hello, quarantine in Canada. Yeah, here we are, folks. We're back into Ontario lockdown. That was my fun news for today. Not really that fun, but 1 or 2 more minutes here, folks. Then we're going to get started. We're a couple minutes late opening the room, so I want to let everyone settle on in. Please, if you're joining us for the first time, let us know where you're coming from in the chat. Thanks for joining us today. And as well, make sure to turn your chat piece to all panelists, all attendees. This way folks can see where you're coming from and what's happening. Super excited for today. I'm very excited. Have you all here, have our special guest. Thank you, Jessica. We've got this. I know we'll get there eventually. It's just a long time coming, but we'll all get there eventually. That is for sure. Folks, if you've not joined our Facebook group, please do. We'd love to have you. Make sure that you do check off all of the questions for joining our group. We have it set up this way so folks can stay safe. We want it to be a safe place. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable within our safe space. So please do join. Kaya just posted the link in the chat there. Very excited. 1 or 2 more minutes here and then we're gonna get started. We'll turn the music off here in a second and get going. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Very excited to have you all here. Hello, Illinois, Toronto. Seen a couple of people up from New York. It's beautiful out today, isn't it? Fantastic. Alberta, hello. India, welcome. East Africa, your first time. Welcome. All right, before we get in, I want to know, actually, I just launched a poll there. Question today for you folks, where you're coming, if this is your first time, we want to know if you've been with us for many times, if you've never been with us before. Gonna give that, 2 or 3 minutes here, just let you guys answer. Very excited. Lots of folks who've been with us for quite a bit of time from the looks of things. Exciting. All righty, let's get that guy off here. Perfect. Seeing about 61% of you folks, you're returning. You've been with us for several episodes here. That's fantastic. A couple of you here, about 18% of the folks, your very first time, and welcome to Hi Mama Helps webinar. I'm going to end up the poll now. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great to have everybody joining us. Holy cow, you guys leave the chat for 1 second and it's just bumping. All right. let's get rocking and rolling. Very excited to have folks with us today. Yes, I agree, Stace. Let's stay. You're loving our Thursday Zooms. Thursday therapy is what I've been told. We've been told in some feedback, which is fantastic that a lot of folks enjoy it. I'm so happy to have everyone here. Let's get started and get into today's content. Very excited to welcome our special guests in a few minutes. But before we do, a couple of our housekeeping pieces, as always. Folks, this is not legal, financial, or medical advice by any means. We hope that you take away tips, tricks, strategies, better idea, questions of, even if you want to like start a list of questions of where you're going to start. It's a great piece to just get you thinking. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that, hey, if you're looking for any advice, make sure it's whether that's financial, you're financial advisor or your legal advisor, or if you need to go to a greater community for whatever reason, make sure that before you make any big changes, you're consulting with the right people. Okay, we just want to make sure that everybody's safe as well. Let's jump into, we have our land acknowledgement, so I'm just going to play a little clip here for you folks.
Hi Mama acknowledges that our main headquarters is situated in Toronto, Ontario, on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto itself is a word that originates from the Mohawk word takaranto, meaning the place in the water where the trees are standing. As participants and guests in today's webinar, we are coming together from many different places around the world. We encourage you to learn about and acknowledge the land from which you participate. Hi Mama is committed to fostering an inclusive and welcoming environment for our employees, customers, and community. Hi Mama welcomes and celebrates individuals of all backgrounds, orientations, and identities. Our Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee aims to ensure we provide a safe environment for everyone to thrive while bringing their authentic selves to work. Our mission is to promote an inclusive workspace for all employees through education, discussion, and celebration of our differences. Embracing these differences while coming together with a common purpose is what makes our team extra special.
I agree. Love being part of the Hi Mama team. Folks, housekeeping as always. If this is your first time, second or third, you don't need a reminder if you've been with us for many times, but as always, the whole session is being recorded. We record everything. We will be sending it out in our show notes, and we will be sending the show notes once again out next week. We used to be sending them out the next day. We're going to be sending them out next week. Want to make sure to get you guys some great show notes and create those pieces for you. So couple of pieces around that. Once again, recording, show notes, slides, all the resources we talked about today will be sent out next week. I made a boo-boo, missed a slide. My apologies. If you're looking for closed captions, please do turn those on for yourself. We also have transcript happening while we're recording for you guys. And last but not least, if you have any connection issues, please, please, please do seek support.zoom.us. They're the folks who know they're at Zoom inside and out, and really I need husband IT for a reason. So it's just what happens. All right. If you've never been with us before, wow, please welcome, pat yourself on the back. I'm Ria. I'm one of the community ambassadors here at Hi Mama, and I've been with Hi Mama for just about 3 years now, and I am also a registered early childhood care educator. I worked just about 7 years in the classroom myself, and then made a nice little switch to be here at Hi Mama. I'm really enjoying my time here to be able to provide you guys with some fantastic webinars. That is like my goal. That is my everything and everything, should say. And on chat, we have Miss Kaya. If you've never seen Miss Kaya, she's on our social media. Kaya, there's like nowhere you haven't been. I think you've been at conferences. You're here with me. What is going on, my girl?
I know, I'm everywhere, eh? Yeah, thanks for bringing up conferences. I'm not too sure if we mentioned it last week, but we are basically at a conference every weekend from now until June. So if you're attending any virtual conferences, and I know a couple have in-person factors. So if you are at a conference, please stop by, say hi to us. We have a lot of great resources there, and you can learn even more about Hi Mama. So make sure you come and say hi if you're attending a virtual conference. So hope to see you there.
I agree. I hope to see everyone there. And as well, and Kaya is going to post a link to the chat. If you want to learn a little bit more about Hi Mama, I'm going to cover a couple of pieces later on in the webinar as well. But if you'd like to learn a little bit more, you totally can. We can connect you up with someone here on our team to just have a better understanding of how you can use Hi Mama in your classroom, or how you can use Hi Mama if you're a director or owner, how you can use it in the office, whatever it is you're doing. We would love to show you, love to make you part of the Hi Mama family, as I know many folks are already. So I'm excited to, let's get at it. Let's really start talking. This is the whole reason we're here for Thursdays. We have Prerna Richards joining us, CEO, founder of Together We Grow. Prerna, come on and join us here. And here she comes. Yay, she's here. Yeah. Prerna, start with maybe just a little bit about yourself before we dive into the fun stuff. And then maybe tell us 2 or 3 tips about Together We Grow.
Awesome. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Together We Grow was created about 3 years ago, and I love it. I love it. So it's created to provide professional development, consulting for programs that want to improve quality, and coaching in the classroom side by side, but also coaching for families who are looking for help and support. And so, yeah, Together We Grow was created just for that purpose, to provide research-based professional development.
That's super important these days too. I want to say now more than ever, actually, to have somewhere to know, where you can get something. Now, can you be a parent and a teacher? Do you serve all types?
Yes.
What goes on there?
Yes, so many teachers are parents and vice versa. And so, yes, definitely, I think we need to have support completely for anybody who has young kids in their lives. I hope the screen is okay. I was trying to make it side by side, but I hope it's okay.
It's great. It looks fantastic. I'm gonna stop here and let you take control, my dear. Prerna's going to go into her fantastic, presentation she has set up, but any questions that do come through, please do send them on to us here. Okay,
Yes, let's do this. I am so excited to be with you all. And as I was watching the comments coming in, I was just like, this is amazing. Oh my goodness. So I can't see my camera anymore, which I don't know where it's gone, but I am going to trust that you can see me and all is well. I hope it's not blocking the view of anything.
We're all good. Everything looks fantastic.
Great, let's do it. So today's topic is strengthening focus and attention in young children, all through play. And that's really it, because children learn through play, and everything that we do has to be age appropriate. And so I'm super excited to talk about it, because even as adults, we suffer with our attention. Our attention is so fragmented, it's really hard to slow down. So expecting our children to get that is really something we have to work on. And so today's session, this should be something that we will definitely spend some time on, talking about the difference between attention and concentration, and the list of executive function skills. What are they? How do we help our children with them? And why does it all matter? And then in the end, practical strategies for strengthening the attention. So let's get started. And one of the main things that we should do, because we've all been coming from running around the day, we're doing 1,000 things. We are here. Let's just help our brain to engage. And one of the best ways to do that is breathing. And I have many, many different ways of breathing strategies that I do. And normally if I'm in a classroom, I'll ask the kids, what type of breathing would you like to do today? But I picked 2 that I thought we could get started with. So the first one is a 3-finger breathing. So if you will please breathe with me wherever you're joining, and we'll just, the way we do it is, as you take a breath in, you go up the finger, and then as you exhale, you go down the finger. So here we go. Really slow down and take your breath, fill up your lungs, so your brain gets the message that it's time to slow down. Here we go. The other way of breathing is counting your blessings. And I don't know about you, Ria, but counting our blessings is a great way to remind how much we have going for us. So
100%. I do my gratitude journal all the time, and it definitely is something that I think about 3 things that have impacted me that day in some sort of format. So
Yes, yes, yes. So I can't think of a better way to combine two good things, right? What we are grateful for and breathing at the same time. So as we take a breath, let's say what we're grateful for. So the first one, so grateful that I'm here with you all. So grateful the sun is shining. And the last one, so grateful that we have a meaningful life, that we can help children. Young children, touching young children's brain is the best thing we can do. So research says 3 deep breaths. I gave you 6, so you've taken care of your brain already. All right, let's do this. So I have a question. If anybody would like to respond in the chat, or if somebody can, I don't think you can unmute, but if you can put it in the chat. What is the difference between concentration and attention? When you think of the word concentration, what comes to your mind? And Ria, if anybody responds, let me know. If not, you can just answer the question. What do you think concentration is?
oh, way to put me on the spot. So for me, a couple of folks have come through with focus.
Okay.
Focus has definitely been the high end. For me, I say when I think of concentration, yes, I probably dive to focus right away. I think of something that I'm very like I have all my attention is on it, and that I'm very in that moment when I'm concentrating, and I can kind of tune everything out that's going around me. Whereas attention for me, it can actually take a variety of forms, and I can kind of be giving attention to maybe 1 or 2 different things. So for example, giving connection to attention right now to the chat, and having conversation with you. So a couple of folks have said attention makes me think of observation, the ability to focus, concentration on doing something with complete attention. Guys, I can't keep up. Whoa.
That's you hit it. You're all in the right space. When we concentrate, we're actually engaging the brain. When we concentrate, you said it really well. You're blocking out everything else. Your attention is very focused. It's laser sharp. You're involved in that. You're engaged in it. Your brain is engaged. Attention is exactly what you said. It flitters around, and you could be on many things at the same time. Attention is wherever your eyes go, that's where your attention goes. So attention is the big canvas, and concentration is when you take the paintbrush and you start painting. I don't know, I just thought of that analogy just right this minute. So hopefully that makes it, clear in the mind why it's important to talk about focused attention and just attention in general. So we have to think of attention span as a spectrum. An attention span is something that develops over age, and attention span is something that you have to strengthen like a muscle, like a stamina. You have to build to it. Many people, I know you've heard this, I've heard this in the early childhood classrooms, their attention span is nanosecond. They can't stick with it. They go from activity to activity. They go from center to center. They're bouncing around. So if we can start thinking of the attention span in terms of a spectrum and in terms of a stamina, that we have to intentionally build, intentionally develop. It's a muscle. Just like you develop the arm muscle, just like you strengthen your fine motor muscles, think about the brain muscle that has to be strengthened. So that's one thing to look at it. And we also have to recognize that boys and girls have a different attention span, different concentration strategy, way of showing up. It doesn't mean that boys can't do it. It just means that the boys need to be doing something physical to engage their brains a little bit more. It just means that the approach has to be different. I disagree that boys can't concentrate and girls do it much better. I disagree with that because it's a brain, it's a muscle. We can help strengthen it. And so recognizing that there's a difference and recognizing that we have to approach it in a different way will help the children in our lives. Then we have to also, are there any questions coming in? Do you want me to pause or anything?
I had actually one question that came up, and I think maybe more my own question too, but yeah, we've definitely heard, where boys have a shorter attention span or whatever. They've always been saying that, yes. And of course, the rough and tumble tends to be more of a boy play versus a girl play. Not always the truth, though.
Right.
You haven't met my niece. And but is it more of the way that boys are hardwired versus girls, or is it just like what do we know why that happens like that?
No, that's a very good question. And what
Yeah.
we learned with the research is that the wiring of the brain is very different for the boys and girls. So, for
Mm,
example, I'll give you an example. So girls tend to, and I don't know if this is true for you, Ria, but when
mm,
your hands get dry, when you wash your hands with public bathrooms and soap is very dry,
yep.
you need lotion. You absolutely just need lotion, otherwise you can't function. I don't know if you're like that.
I am. I bathe in it.
Yeah, so see, I'm like that. If my hands are washed, I cannot function till I've put lotion on my hands. Boys hardly ever need lotion. My husband never ever thinks about putting lotion when he's washed his hands. It's because of the wiring of the brains. Girls have more neurons, more
Mm,
nerve endings in our fingers than boys do. The same thing happens with the brain. The way boys use, so another example is girls can use both hemispheres at the same time. So we know we have two hemispheres in our brain. Girls can cross wire and use both at the same time. Boys can do one hemisphere better than the other. So if they are trying to listen, they can then draw and listen. Girl can talk, draw, dance, do it all, and she could do it. This is why when you're in a classroom or if you have boys at home, when you have a smile on your face and you're trying to reprimand them, so you're like, I don't think that's a very good choice. You're confusing the boys in your life because they're looking at your facial and they're thinking, oh, she's pleased with what I'm doing. They are not very good at seeing the hidden meanings. And I know we've all had conversations, boys miss, men miss. Why didn't you see that? I was telling you with my body. It's the wiring. So boys and girls are wired differently. They're both capable, they're both intelligent, they're both can improve, but just naturally, just left to natural ways, the way the wiring is, the cross wiring doesn't get used as much. That's why many times, if you can cross your midline, you will help strengthen it for even the boys. Does that help?
100%.
Okay. So the other thing that happens with attention is when children are not able to pay attention, are not able to stay at task, we know what happens. They get into trouble. They're not listening. They get distracted. And somebody has to keep telling them, come on, pay attention. No, stop playing, stop moving. So the behavior and the attention, there's a direct link. There's an absolute connection when children get into trouble. I call it trouble because it really does get them into trouble, because some adult is reminding them that they're not at task, not listening, not following directions. And that gets the adult frustrated and that gets the little one in trouble. So the two are connected. If we can strengthen the attention, we can reduce the behaviors, and we can help the children to go learn and be settled. The other thing is interest. If we want to develop the attention, if we want to develop the focus and concentration, we have to include what interests the child. If the children are interested in Legos and blocks, spend more time doing that. If they're interested in doing science experiments, do more things of that. If they're interested in creative dramatic play, create opportunities for that. If we can do more things that engage the brain, if they're interested in, we're going to help them to strengthen this. Almost every child has some interest, and if we can come through that angle of play, we can help them to get excited about learning. So this is, I want to share a really a secret method in how to help children get their brains engaged. So it's the CAT method. And the CAT is really quite simple. If you want children to pay attention and get engaged, the first C stands for make them curious. If you can make a child curious, this, by the way, actually works for adults too. If if you can make adults curious, they'll be more interested in what you're going to say. So a sentence that helps children to become curious is, guess what? Start using this sentence with children. You will absolutely have them right away. Their response will be, what? By the way, my granddaughter taught me this. She kept asking me, guess what? I'm like, and I would fall for it every time. I'm like, okay. So this is the way we talk to you. So making them curious uh, piques the interest, right? That's the first way to get the brain engaged. The A stands for anticipation. If they're already going to anticipate what's going to come with this activity. So, for example, you're in a classroom and you want to do small groups. The anticipation is that, I'll be pulled to a small group and the teacher will work with me. It may also be a backfire because they don't want to get pulled away from play. They want to be in the center time. They want to be having freedom to move. So already the child is anticipating that I'm going to miss playtime. So I maybe won't like the small group. Maybe this is not going to be, I don't want to do this right now. So the pushback is starting. But with anticipation, if you switch it, so for example, change your routine. Instead of doing story time inside, they know the schedule says story time, you change it and you're like, oh, we're having story time outside today, we're doing snack outside today, we're having a picnic today. So you change the anticipation, whether it's for good or bad. Some children look forward to small group, some children look forward to outside time. Whatever the anticipation is, if there's going to be pushback, change it. Keep it fresh, keep them on their toes in a sense, because then it keeps it fresh for you as well as the children in your life. And the last T stands for time sensitive. Being very aware that attention span is a stamina and I have to build it. So if you're doing something for very long, if you're reading a story for 45 minutes, you're definitely going to have them lose interest. You're definitely going to have them get fidgety. So being sensitive to time span based on their age is key. One of the best things that you can do to establish the stamina is having a clock, so like a timer. So for example, a child is 2 years old, the timer can be set for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, we're going to work on the puzzles. For 5 minutes, we're going to do Legos, whatever it is. Gradually increase it. So by the time they're 3, maybe it's become 10, 15 minutes. And you stretch the timer in a gradual way, helping them to build their stamina. When you go running, like when you train for a marathon, you build your stamina, right? That's the best way to look at attention in young children. We are building a stamina, we're strengthening a muscle.
Prerna, we had a couple of questions come through, but it was more around if, let's say, for example, and I'm just going to use preschool age, so around 3 to 4 for make life a little easier here for question. Let's say they're 3 to 4, they're maybe their first time at a center, they've been home with mom or dad or whoever for the last little while, and they may not have as long as of attention span as some of the other children who've been with them maybe throughout their whole lives, even at the center. I know some are. So any recommendations for teachers to just kind of help that child get into the routine of stretching their attention span like that?
Yeah, definitely. So having a timer is a really good way because it's something visual and it's not very, and also as for the adult, keep in mind that when children are 2 and 3 and 4, their stamina is less than as an adult, right? So being aware and having a timer and giving visual cues and also going up to that child so that you can help build that stamina. We're still working on our puzzles. We're just going to stay right here for a few more minutes. I'm going to keep an eye on you, like engage with the child so they know you haven't forgotten about them, because it's no different than developing any other skills. Attention happens to be in the executive function, which happens to be part where the cognitive skills get developed. So we just have to be patient, visual cues, and heads up to the children that how long do they have to do this before something else changes. So you can talk them through it, like, I'll be right here, finish this drawing, finish the easel work, and if they're interested in something, they're more likely to stay engaged. It's when there's very fun things happening over there, I'd rather be doing that and I'd rather be doing that and I'm running around. That's when you have to help them, like, okay, finish this. So first, and then become good sentences. First do this, then you do this. So the language becomes different when you're trying to help them to adjust.
The other piece that ties so nicely into that is they start making the connections with directions and being able to take more than just one direction at a time, especially if you're potentially working on building building on that skill too, right? So it's a great piece, to have both, you're working on two skills at the same time, and they don't even know it, which is fantastic. So
so much of it overlaps, and you're exactly right. It starts with one-step direction to two-step direction to three-step direction, and you gradually build that up so they can follow you and they can do it. And then also using language like first we do this and then we do this, the first and then become part of the, okay, I can understand. Okay, when I finish this, this happens. So I'm making a connection.
very true.
Keep going. All right, here we go. So why are children struggling with paying attention? I have a question to ask, and let me know in the chat. Do you feel children's attention is spoiled now? Do you feel more children are getting diagnosed with ADD, ADHD? Have you noticed that where in the world you are, or have you not noticed that?
We're getting a lot of yeses.
Okay.
I would say mostly some yeses with several exclamation marks. I would agree. I agree, and I want to say disagree a little bit, but on the same side, I've definitely seen, with the screen time for me, and I know that's the first thing you're gonna dive into here, but just seeing the instant gratification not being delayed for any reason, and not just in the center. I'm not saying this is on an educator's perspective, but at home, I've definitely seen it where instant gratification is just not delayed in any way, and because of that, the attention is, I've even seen it with myself. One day my tablet did not load as fast as I wanted it to, and I found myself just like clicking on the screen aggressively. And my husband leaned over and he goes, waiting on something.
Yeah, I know. I feel that. I think that we are becoming more and more programmed, and we're
Yes.
also becoming gratification junkies. I'm just going to go there. I'm just going to
Please
go.
do. Yeah.
We are becoming gratification junkies because we want posts to be liked and shared and responses, and if we don't get it, we don't feel good about ourselves, and we want things to be fast. And I think we are. I was listening to a news article, and sorry, this is off where we were, but
That's
kind
all
of.
right.
I was listening to a research that they were sharing of the generation of the kids who were born, say, in the last 10 years, 12 years. They have grown up with everything that they're doing documented somewhere on social media. Somebody is posting, documenting, sharing their whole life the whole time. And we are raising them this way. We're raising them that this is how we validate life. We're raising them that when you jump, when you play, when you, whatever it is you're doing, and the children see us through their screens. So when they are being raised on the other side of the screen, and you don't give it, you're actually programming their brains. And this research was talking about, we don't know the long-term effects with this. The child who was born 10 years ago and everything was uploaded on iPhone, how will that child feel when they're 13, 14, 15 to have all this stuff about them posted? And there's, once it's out there, it's out there. So we are doing a disservice, and me included. I'm not blaming any parent. We are in this ourselves. Even when we are standing in lines, we are programmed to scroll up and down. We are programmed to not have our hands still. We are programmed to not, be just still. So the difference is when you have an adult brain, because by the time you're 26, your adult brain is fully developed. You can cope with it, even though it's conditioning us. Children whose brain is developing, this could really kind of make it scary for some parts of the brain to not get wired the way we want to. And just one side note of the research that I wanted to share for just a minute. I know I won't spend long here, but this is important. They took a brain scan in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So every decade, they were taking a brain scan of 10-year-olds. And so all the way from 70s to the 90s, this was fascinating. When they took the brain scan, the whole brain was lit up. It was like a broccoli. It was all lit up. It was all making connections. 70s to the 90s, the whole brain is lighted up. 2000 and then 2010. And here we are, 2021. The scan that was taken in 2010, this was black. This is just black. There's no neurons making any connections. So the only bit that's lit up is in the middle. So when you see that, it brings it home. It brings it to reality. Do you know why, Ria? Do you know why this would be black?
No, I got nothing.
The screens. Because when you're
Wow.
swiping, when you're doing this is not engaging the brain.
Mm.
This is absolutely not engaging the brain when we swipe. And this is what they were saying 10 years ago. We were giving younger and younger children electronics and increased screen time. And I don't want anybody to be nervous and scared, but it's important to know the research that exists. It's important to know the role that we play when the young brains are being developed. When you're with young children, this is a very important role. This is not just, professional learning. This is really understanding how you can set up children for success, how you can rewire the brain. And here's the good news, because I always want to be with the good news and the positive news. The good news is that the brain is very pliable and flexible, and you can rewire it if you know how. So when you know better, you do better.
Oh,
right?
There's so much happening. Keep going, my dear. I'm so excited.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're engaged. Okay.
Yes.
So the easiest way of how to wire up the whole brain and light up the whole brain, this is how you have to think of today's session. And if you like this, I actually talk about this topic for 3-hour sessions. Like I do this for schools, I do it for conferences, and we dive into it, and we don't have all that time. But the things to remember, that all that we're sharing today is to light up the whole brain. And I'm going to share practical strategies with you. Starting today, you can start to help to engage the whole brain. So some of this, unstructured playtime. So when children are not allowed to just create their own play, child-led play, when it's always adult directed and an adult initiated, this part of the brain won't light up. So that's something you can do, allowing them to take the leadership role in play. Outdoor exploration and play. And I know I can't see everybody, but if I was to ask this question, think back to your childhood. How many of you grew up outside? I bet so many hands would go up. The times
Mine did.
See, mine did too. I grew up outside. There was nobody following me with an iPhone. Nobody captured anything I did outside. I was climbing trees. I was playing in the mud. I was running around till the light came on in the street. That's when I came home. And I bet many of you joining today could relate to that. Our children need the same experiences. When we have that kind of unstructured play, exploration, experiences, that's what's going to light up the brain. So think of it like that. What could the child be doing instead of swiping? What could the child be doing instead? But I have to say, with that, this last year of the pandemic, I know many, many, many adults have leaned on electronics just for sanity. And that's okay. Give yourself some grace. Don't have a guilt about it. If you have to be on a meeting and they have to be on it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and they're also doing school on it. I have a granddaughter, we're homeschooling. She's doing school from devices. But when that's finished, can you give brain breaks throughout the day? Can you take a brain break? And a brain break is nothing but stop doing what you're doing. Okay, let's do a brain break right now. I know I can't see everybody, but just take a minute and look around your room where you're sitting and find 3 things that are red. Find 3 things. So I see 1, I see 2.
Right now, that's really hard. There's nothing red in my house. Oh, I found something.
Okay, find 3 black things then.
Okay, that might be easier.
Okay,
it's still difficult.
Okay, so that's a brain break. You just shifted your attention in a very natural way. You paid attention to what's around you. That's a brain break. So it's not very hard. It's just easy to weave it inside your day. And we talked about instant gratification, but toys that give us instant gratification, by that I mean cause and effect. I push a button and this happens. Any toy that has a battery is not going to engage their brain. Just write it somewhere down in bold. Get rid of all battery operated toys. No toys that make a noise, whiz, sound. They're not engaging the brain. It's just like a wash. It's just like, when you sit in front of Netflix, it just washes over you. That's what toys do when there's cause and effect. It just washes over you. It doesn't engage the brain. So far, so good. Any questions coming in?
No, lots of folks have been saying things like, obviously a lot of folks have been said that they also grew up outdoors, that it's obviously it's hard for children, the lifestyle that we have, especially right now, but do our best to get the children outside. So a lot of folks agreeing with you. I'll let you continue. I'm also watching the time as well, so I don't want to tie up too much.
So diet is another thing. If we are feeding our children lots of processed food, it's not going to be good for the brain. So more natural, healthy food is better for the brain. Liver is something that I want to talk about. The liver is literally part of your waist right here. And the purpose the liver is there is to take out the toxins from our body. But when we do too much electronics and too much screen time and too much thinking, too much planning, too much worrying, the liver generates heat. And when the liver is heated, it takes the brain matter. It takes the fat from your brain to feed it. So putting an ice pack on your liver will cool down the heat that your body is generating. All right, so here are the executive function skills, which, by the way, if you remember, is this part of the brain. So we have the survival brain, the emotional brain, the executive function. So survival keeps us safe. Emotional makes me feel loved and accepted. Executive is where the learning happens. Prefrontal cortex is also what it's called. Right behind our eyes, right behind the forehead is where the wiring for these skills is going to happen. And this is why we have to be intentional. So when the children are wired here, they can pay attention, they can concentrate, they can control their body, they can control their mouth, they can control their emotions. The self-regulation, if I'm very upset, I can bring it down. I can go from, we've met children who go from 0 to 100. They just lose it. They get so angry. But if we can regulate our emotions, we can bring down the dial. We can regulate our intense reactions. Critical thinking, understanding that my actions have a reaction and a consequence. Children can be taught that. Children can be helped to understand that. Problem solving. I've heard it so much, and I'm sure anybody listening today has heard this too. I can't. I need help. They don't even try. They give up. And my stance for that is, well, you haven't tried yet. Give it a try. Giving up is not an option. We got to figure this out. That's when you have to engage their brain. What can you do? What can you do? So there's something you can do. You have a brain. Let's use it. All right. So
my favorite is the I can't do it, and then all of a sudden it turns into okay,
yeah,
I'll try.
That's right. That's right, because they know they have to with you, right? You've already taught them. And some people just jump in and do it for their kids. And that's not teaching them anything. Let's empower our children, not enable them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not make them feel that we have to cater to them. Let's treat them as capable, intelligent human beings, which they are. So here's some things that can strengthen the attention and focus. Keep in mind, you want to enlighten the whole brain. This is what this is. So fine motor. I have some props for you. So bases are good for fine motor. Think of fine motor as this muscle. Anything that you can do that activates this, because there's a nerve that runs from here all the way up your arm. And guess what? Right behind your eyes, the wiring is happening for executive function. That's where the focus and attention is happening. So activities that can do this. I have a few more. Pinchers, the tongs. So pom-pom balls. I love egg cartons. So, pom-pom balls, you can pick it, lift it, move it, colors. This is all easy stuff, right? Here's nuts and bolts. So giving them a box of different sizes, nuts and bolts, anything that engages. Then these things, sorry, this fell down. This is a kitchen towel roll with rubber bands. And you see, I have to make this to put it on this. These are simple things that you can give to children. This is another one, an egg whisk that you can put, I have so many of these. We just had Easter, so Easter eggs, open them, close them. They can mix and match them with the colors, put something in it so you can hear what it sounds. Anything that this does, sensory exploration. And I know I've put 6 senses in there, and I don't want to put Ria on the spot for you to answer the 6 senses unless you want to know what the 6 senses.
I feel like I'm definitely missing one.
Okay, it's the vestibular. It's the vestibular. The sense of balance. The sense of balance happens between our ears. Okay. And the more we activate the sense of balance, it's going to strengthen this focus and attention area. Rolling, spinning, twirling, that'll activate the sense of balance. Hand-eye coordination, I gave you many. Stringing Cheerios, stringing beads, nuts and bolts, anything that you have to concentrate with your eye and your hand is going to strengthen this. It's going to slow you down and it's going to help with your concentration. Hand-eye coordination, but also feet eye coordination. I don't know if you've ever done feet-eye coordination.
I didn't do enough of it, apparently.
But anything that you can do to have the children play a game that they're kicking something or skipping something, but they're also having to pay attention where their feet are going. So one that I like to talk about a lot is tennis ball, tied it to a yarn and let the child hold the yarn and let them kick, and you give directions, kick with your left foot, right foot. The other one that I've done is also pick up marbles with the toes in a kiddie pool. So there's marbles in the water and they pick it with their toes. Picking up pencils with your toes and walking on your heels is a good one. The best toys are loose parts. Loose parts means anything: measuring cups, measuring spoons, buttons, shells, yarn, nuts and bolts. Anything you find around the house that the children can extend and make it play is loose parts. I do a session on all of these separate. So bringing it together in one bullet point is so hard for me. The best is the mud and the dirt and the water, open-ended, engaging the brain, engaging the senses. And here's another little tip about the senses. If somebody's writing down notes, this is something you should write down in caps. When children engage more than three senses, it activates the brain. If I can see something, smell something, and touch something, I'm waking up the brain, period. If I can use 3 and more senses, I'm going to wake up the brain and make connections. That's how you look at play. That's how you look at your activities. Is it 3 and more senses? So if it's 4, so for example, I have a bucket and I'm giving you rice and I'm giving you measuring cups. So I can see it, I can touch it, I can hear it because I can hear the rice falling. But if I put a few lavender drops in it, now I've activated 4 senses. Does that make sense?
Is there any particular reason why it's 3 or more, but we'll use 3. Any reason why? What if it's just 2?
It's because of how many nerves and neurons make connections. It's because how many parts of your brain has to be activated, because there's a separate part of our brain that listens and touches and smells. So when you're doing different senses, your neurons are actually firing.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that cool?
That is so cool. I'm learning so much.
Oh, yay. I'm happy you're learning so much. So the first one, so the tips are continuing. So all what I shared in the last screen, these plus this. Breathing is going to be your absolute savior. Create a school environment, create a family environment where you breathe intentionally throughout the day. Let's do another breathing together right now. I mean, we've been talking for a minute, but let's breathe together. So breathe with me. We're going to do a heart breathing together. So here we go. I used to be a part of a school where we used to just brain break, and whoever could step out in the hallway while keeping an eye on the kids and keeping one foot in the classroom would step in the hallway and we'd breathe together. Ask the children to tell you what type of breathing they should do. Ask the teachers to come up with creative ways. Lots of breathing throughout the day will get the oxygen in the brain, and it absolutely helps the neurons to make connections. Vocabulary is really key. When you want children to pay attention, use that, say it. I need you to pay attention. Where is your attention? I need you to focus. I need you to concentrate. Very often we're not using the right vocabulary. I mentioned to you our granddaughter is doing homeschooling right now. So one of the things I have to remind her is when she's fidgeting and she sits on a roller ball thing to work, she's doing this and this and this. And I have to use the words and tell her, your brain is working really hard right now to learn and pay attention. Your body is not helping. So control your body so your brain can be able to focus. And when we use words like that, then it takes the blame game away. So it doesn't make the children feel defensive that, oh, you're correcting me again, but just an observation. Your body is not helping your brain right now, and your brain is really trying to learn. So what can you do to help your brain? So putting it back on them. that seems to get her attention, every time I say that.
I like that. I like it in so many ways because, of course, I'm one of those children who I would have had a fidget toy, but because of the fidget toy, it stopped my body I was able to control my body, obviously, and let my brain do its thing. But it wasn't so much that my whole body was like loosey-goosey and everywhere. Mm-hmm. It was that only maybe my left hand, because I'm right-handed, was just squeezing the ball or whatever it may be, It was allowing for that to happen. because I was focused on it. And I like the way you said it though, to get it off of that, and that there's no guilt. It's more of just, oh, I have to recenter myself situation.
And also it helps children to become confident in themselves, that I can do this. Okay, I can do this because I can control my hands and I can control my legs. You mentioned fidget toys. I have, so Ava has fidget toys too, but I have mentioned to her that, is it a toy or is it a tool? If it's
True.
a tool, it's helping you. If it's a toy, it's distracting you. And so
Mm.
when she has it in her hands, and if I'm trying to just observe and reflect, I'm like, is it being used as a tool or a toy right now? So she can answer the question. I don't have to tell her. She can say, okay, well, I was using it as a toy. Okay, how should you be using it? Okay, it's a tool. It's a tool to help my brain. So she knows this vocabulary, and that's why vocabulary matters. And as early as 2, 3, you can start having this conversation that look around you, look around your surroundings. What is your legs doing? What is your arms doing? What is your eyes doing? Let the children recognize, so they're not just oblivious.
So true.
So far so good. We're
Yep,
okay.
keep going, my dear. We're good.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Lots of other games that can help with strengthening the brain. So it's all done through game and play. The games that we've played, whether it's a dining table or whether it's at restaurants or whether it's car drives, is I'm thinking of a number between 3 and 5. Based on their age, I'll expand what I'm thinking on. So they have to think what it is. I'm thinking of a word that starts with C, has furry body, so getting them to guess what you're thinking. The other game that we play is I went to the beach and I took a hat with me, and the next person will add, I went to the beach and I took a hat and a sunglasses, and the third person will add the third thing. And you have to remember, when it's your turn, you have to remember everybody what they said previously. So it's memory, right? It's strengthening the memory. Sequencing is a good one, where they can follow recipes. Cooking is amazing for children, where they can follow recipes and they can know what comes first, next, last. So sequencing is really important. Having them retell stories is a great way for sequencing, so that they can remember the order in which things happen. Tongue twisters. Oh my God. I don't know if children do tongue twisters these days, but they're so good. I'm trying to think of one. Sally sells seashells on the seashore. Whatever it is, it's focus. It helps you to focus and slow down and listen. And so if you hadn't caught on, it's all about slowing down. It's all about engaging the brain. And by default, the muscle gets strong as you use it, Anything coming up in the chat that I should be?
Lots of people are agreeing with you. Lots of folks are saying this is obviously very applicable to adults as well.
Yeah.
And not just us, but and a lot around the vocabulary piece, even for myself, for example, just the tool versus a toy, like just something that simple that maybe didn't cross my mind at the time, so those things, lots of great things. Keep going, my dear.
Awesome. Thank you. And then, of course, meditation. And meditation is got a funny rap to it. So I want to clarify what I mean by meditation. Meditation to me is just slowing down the brain and is silencing the brain. That's really what meditation is. Whether that means that you can go outside and you can listen to all the different sounds. Okay, just slow down. How many different birds can you hear? Slow down. How many different flower colors can you see? Slow down. So, it's drawing the child's attention, drawing your own attention. Even right now, we could do 2 seconds meditation. Wiggle your toes where you are. Like just wiggle your toes and you're fully present. Being where your feet are is what meditation is. If we can stop the chatter here, we can slow it down. The brain has a chance to recharge and refresh. Breathing will help you. Noticing what's around you will help you. And with young children, when you draw their attention to it, you're giving them life skills. You're giving them skills that can help them to regulate their emotions, their stress, and you're already helping them to raise up with a brain that is not stressed out, that is not exhausted, that is not, so frazzled that every little thing you have to have a reaction for. All of this to say that, as adults, when we react to what our children are doing, reaction is quick, right? Reaction is you do this, I do this. It's a quick comeback. Reaction is very fast. There's no impulse control, right, with reaction. But if we can slow down and respond versus react, so when our brain can respond, that's when we can problem solve. That's when we can be calm and think versus reacting, right? So all of these things will help to strengthen this part of the brain. And I have to go there with the media diet. So media diet is so important. If you are noticing that your stress levels are high in your family, in your classroom, in your work life, if your stress levels are very high, consider putting yourself on a media diet. That after 7 o'clock, I don't touch phones, I don't check emails, I'm getting a break from it. Children too, okay, on the weekends, since we've done Zoom schooling all week, on the weekends, there's going to be no tablet time. Whatever works for your family, none of us can dictate it for nobody else, but I think being aware that the brain is struggling, being aware that there's a need, and being aware that we can do something about it is a good starting point.
I definitely think that that's a key piece. I can say for myself, Prerna, and I'd maybe add your own experience in here. For myself, I only allot myself, an hour over the course of the day to check the news. So I try not to exceed that time limit so that I'm not constantly on the news. And then, yeah, same thing for my social media. For me, after like 8 or so, that goes away. I try not to touch it myself, get off of the device, get into a book, get into, if we're out for a late night walk, something like that, but making sure that I've given my time and my space away from the device after, yes, of course, being computer all day to like TV to, you got to make yourself a fine line. Of course, like you said, it's per your family. You know your family best. You'll do you'll work it what your life is like. You can't just say one strategy will fit all. So
it doesn't fit all. And all the things that we're talking about today, take what applies to you and start where you can, because you do better when you know better. Going back to the evening walks, I coach families, like I was saying, and so many families are telling me that evenings are so stressful between dinner and bed and bath. It's chaos and it feels very stressful. And so one of the things we talk about is taking a family walk every evening, like just 10-15 minutes, just everybody, even if it's raining, get an umbrella, do something, get out and get out together, spend some time together, build some memories, jump on some puddles, have have some fun, but you have to be intentional. And these are the type of things that I coach side by side for teachers and families, because so many of us need reminders. We need somebody to help us, to guide us through this, because when stress is high, and we have been through unprecedented levels of stress, we still are. You said in the beginning you were going into your lockdown again. And how much can we take as human beings, right? How much stress can we take? So we have to do something intentionally to set the reset button for us individually, or for our family, or for our classroom, or for our school. It doesn't matter. It expands everything around us, right?
Yep, totally.
So bringing it all together, I don't know how we're doing with time, but I wanted to allow time for Q&A at the end for sure. So the things to remember, the things to keep in mind is that early years matter. We know this. Everybody who's here is involved in the early years space, and 90% of the brain is getting wired. 90% is a lot from birth to 5. That's how the neurons are making connections. And here's another way to look at that. For the rest of your life, the brain that you have from birth to 5 is the brain that you have. There's no upgrade your brain. There's no swap your brain. There's no changing your brain. The foundation you have is the brain that you will have for the rest of your life. So if you know adults who are anxious, if you know adults who have no impulse control, no filter, if you know adults who are very confident, if you know adults that are very uncomfortable with taking safe risk, it's all because of the wiring that was happened when they were younger. So why not give them a strong foundation? Why not do it intentionally? Why not set them up for success? But again, the good news with the brain is that it's very flexible, it's very pliable. Just because you didn't have it when you were younger doesn't mean it's game over. If you're willing to learn and you're willing to change course, we can teach ourselves with anything. But why make it harder? Why fix something? Why not build it right? Right? That makes sense to me.
Very true. Very, very true.
So, wiring happens with new experiences. key, period. So the more new sensory experiences they can have, the more new games they can figure out, the more problem solving they can have, the more first time things that they've done, more things that they've never tasted, the more, the exposure to new experiences is what's going to fire and wire the brains. So strengthen the muscle. And the last thing that I want you to remember about the pathways, I've used this word pathways throughout this session, that it builds pathways, it develops pathways, it strengthens the neurons. But what are these pathways? So pretend you're walking on the beach, Ria. If you would like to just join me at the beach right now, I would love to be there.
I'm with you.
Right? I'm so there. Pretend you're walking on the beach and the waves are side away. You're walking on the dry sand and you look behind you. What do you see?
Maybe the water taking away some of the foot tracks.
Yeah.
Maybe it, small paths from what's not been taken away.
Yeah.
Just
you're leaving footprints. Some of it is washed away by the waves and some of it is staying there. But now if you walk backwards and the sand is wet and you're walking in the wet sand and the waves have gone away, what happens to your footprints then?
don't they kind of like they disappear, depending of course on what it is, but they disappear like very quickly usually.
Yeah, but also if you just had wet sand and they weren't disappearing and
sticks.
It sticks, it goes deeper, right? Have you remember the feeling when you put your foot in wet sand and you kind of sank in and it went deeper and deeper based on, so that's what pathways are. The more you use it, the deeper imprint it leaves. The more we use it, the more the neurons can make the connection. And the way to make the neuron connections is new experiences, sensory, fine motor, all the things that we've talked about can strengthen this part of the brain. And what we want our children to have is the whole broccoli should be lit up. We don't want black parts. We don't want any black parts. We want all the neurons to light up, to make a connection. And neurons that wire together, fire together. All that means is that they connect and the pathway gets stronger and then the bond gets stronger. So they make a strong connection. So it's not, just fragmented. So that's really at the heart of strengthening the attention. Once you can strengthen the attention, you can improve the concentration, because now we know there's a difference between concentrating on something and just paying attention to something. Now we know that. So if we can be intentional about it, we can give them the best chance to succeed. If we can use the early years to help concentration muscle develop, when they get to elementary, they can focus, they can stay on task, they can follow directions, they can succeed, they can retain the learning. I mean, part of what's happening over here is also retaining what we learn. So it's not like, what? You talk what?
Prerna, this has been absolutely fantastic. Before you know it, it's 3:00. Just went 3:01 here on the nose. So a lot for you. I wanted you to know.
Stop sharing my screen, so Ria, you
please
can
do. No worries though. Lots of love in the chat from all of the folks. I want to go a minute or two over though here, because it's been just such a great conversation in the chat. Lots of people have been, asking a couple of great questions. And before we, sign off here and end up for today, I wanted to make sure to get just a question or two in with you, but maybe what we can do is get those questions to you and get some answers. But one of the questions was asked was it was about screen time. How come it seems that children can have attention and have focus on those screens? And is there something that, are they wired? Is there wiring that does that? Is it more because of instant gratification? But why is that? Do we find that they can just be so stuck in what's going on the screen, whether that be a tablet, a phone, a computer, you name it?
So that's a really good question. The reason is the people who designed it did it intentionally. It's called pervasive design. So it's not by accident, it's by design. They want you to be addicted to it. They want the mesmerizing effect to happen. And we get addicted to it too. I know if I have a game, I'm want to keep going out. I like the badges. I like this satisfaction of knowing I'm passing levels. So it's not by accident. It was designed for that reason. And I know none of us intentionally would give our children drugs, but think of it like that. The electronics is addictive. and they want more of it. And when they don't get it, they can lose it. They can have a complete meltdown. I've witnessed it, you've witnessed it,
Yep.
completely losing it if I don't get the device, because the brain doesn't know what to do with it. It's an addiction. It wants a fix. That's what it is. It's a fix.
Very, very true. Prerna, there's been so many requests. We're gonna have to have you back because
Awesome. I'm excited. I would love
I can't. We've
to.
had so much love. Conversation's been amazing. You've been phenomenal. Everyone in the chat is saying the same thing. I know you said that at some point I'll get it to you or something because you need to see all the fantastic comments. But before we before we wrap up, any words of advice, pieces of wisdom, happy thoughts, anything you'd like to leave the folks with today?
Yes, 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 yes. You can do it. You got this. You got this. Have confidence in yourself and don't doubt yourself. And the fact that you joined the seminar, the fact that you're even curious and interested in learning, just pat yourself on the back and say, I got this. I'm a great person with the young kids. I can do this. So, that's what I want you to know, that this is not rocket science. This is very simple stuff. And if your heart is in it and if you're present, you will show up for your children. That's the best thing you can do. Be present for your children.
150%. Prerna, thank you so much. It's been phenomenal having you on. I've all have enjoyed everyone saying so many great tips from today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I would love to read the chat, and follow me on Instagram, Facebook,
yes,
whatever. Togetherwegrow.online. Come join the conversation. If you want consulting, I give 30 minutes free. Sign up. What have you got to lose? Let's talk.
We're going to share some of your great resources, all your links, everything as well in the show notes. So if you do want to get a hold of Prerna, please, we'll send that out to you. But find her on Instagram. Let's jump into a wrap up here. I'm going to steal the screen here for a little bit, but if I'd mentioned this before, if you guys have never heard about Hi Mama as well, and you want to learn a little bit more, there are so many great things that you can learn about us. We'd love to talk with you as well and have you join the Hi Mama family. Please do let them know I sent you. If you do talk with any of our great folks, there's our fantastic podcast that Kai's done. Prerna did our podcast with us with Ron. So please, please, please check that out. But all of our activities, our articles, our blogs, of course, all the webinars, you kind of name it, it's all wrapped up into one great place. This is Julie, by the way. She's actually on our team here at Hi Mama. So if you do talk to us, you may talk to Julie. Okay, what's next? The important pieces, of course, the recording, the slides, all of the resources, connections, everything, you name it, certificate, all in one place. It's going to be coming out next week, folks. So just keep an eye out. Hi Mama blog category /webinar. You'll find us all there. All of our older webinars are there as well. So just keep your eye out, and I will be sending out some show notes as well to get you guys there. Next week, we're having a birthday celebration. It'll be our 50th webinar, and we're talking about storytelling. I am really excited. Storytelling, reading, literacy, you name it, they all go so hand in hand so nicely together. Of course, they aid in so many great things, as well as the brain development, as we've been learning about today. And it's a great piece. So I'm super excited. Who's coming? Bring your party hat. I'm going to wear mine. I got to find one. That might be hard right now. I'll do my best. We'll find something up. Next week, though, folks, please do join us. It'd be great to have us. And if you haven't, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, please do check out our podcast. Once again, like I've mentioned, and Kaya's all over our Instagram page. Do join our Circle Time Facebook page. We'd love to have you guys there as part of the community. Thank you so much. Prerna, thank you again for being here today.
Thank you, Rhea. It was a pleasure and a joy to spend time with you. You were awesome in moderating and
thank you.
On top of the questions and bringing your own. So yes, I have enjoyed our time together. Thank you for this.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss Kaya, thank you as always. To be honest, Kaya does all the heavy lifting, guys. Let's be real here.
Thanks, Rhea. I'm so excited for our 50th episode next week. It's wild. We've done 50. I know a lot of you guys have been here since the beginning. So bring your party hats, bring your cake, do what you got to do. Send us a photo. We would love to see you decorated for our Hi Mama 50th episode next week. So upload a photo to your social media and make sure to tag us.
Please do. Pop some bubbly if you really fancy it. I'm great with that. Just maybe not at work. That's all. Next week, folks, please, everyone, thank you for joining us here. We're going to wrap up and close up the webinar to now, but thank you for spending time with us as always. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.